Hey you guys, and good morning. I hope you're having the best day today. It is Thursday and chapter 4 with our virtual book club, How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. So first off, you guys, you can go ahead and click on the link in the description here of the video to grab your own book. I get mine off of Amazon. It was the cheapest place for me to find it. You can check out your local library to see if they have it in stock that you can grab the book, maybe even borrow it from a friend. But you are more welcome than grabbing the link there in the description and grabbing the book from there. So today we are talking about encouraging autonomy. And what that is self-directing freedom and especially mood or moral independence, your personal autonomy, independence in one's thoughts or actions. So we've been really learning about this throughout the whole book, different ways that we can actually encourage our children to be independent, right, with their thoughts and their feelings and their actions and all that kind of stuff, you know. When they ask us a question, seeking out other sources to find the answer. When they ask a question, asking that question back, you know, oh, well, why do you think that this happens, right? And it allows them to kind of explore their own thoughts on the question that they may have asked. Exploring the independence on doing things for themselves and so on and so forth. So this is a really great chapter. It has some really great things into it that I'm excited to share with you. Excuse me. One thing I wanted to mention, actually, I wanted to share a little story with you guys before we get into it. So last night, my daughter Hannah had fallen asleep during a movie, and I had taken her upstairs and put her in her bed, but because she had that like 30-minute cat nap before it was actually bedtime, she woke up and was absolutely furious, screamed and cried for probably a good hour, you guys. And in the past, I would have probably lost my cool, like hands up, throwing up in the air, like, what the fuck is happening right now? I can't deal with this. Matt, you deal with it. And I would have put it on him to deal with, and probably went and locked myself in the room because I just wasn't able to handle myself when it came to those type of things. It was really triggering for me. And last night I said, you know what, I'm going to, try to utilize some of the tools. And I just sat on the carpet, you guys, and I sat there and I didn't feel frustrated. I just sat. And she, walked around the house with tissues, crying. And if you looked at her, she would scream, like just having an absolute meltdown. And she was in that sprinkler motion of feeling all these different feelings. And so I had gone over to her and I had said, are you ready to talk? And it was like scream at me. Okay, you're not ready to talk right now. Well, mommy's going to the bedroom, and when you're ready to talk to me, you can come in and I'll be there, right? I'll be there, and I understand that you're feeling sad right now. I get that. It's okay to feel that emotion, but just know that I'm here for when you're ready to talk. Anyway, so she continued on for probably about 10 more minutes, which seemed like forever. And she walked into my bedroom and sat on the floor and cried for a few minutes. But she had made her way from the kitchen to my bedroom. She knew I was in there, but that presence of me just sitting there, and I sat on my bed with my book. I always have my book beside me somewhere in the house because I'm always jotting down notes or utilizing it. And eventually she came up on the bed and I said, would you like to draw out your feelings right now? And I got to show you guys this because it was so friggin' sweet and sad. And this is what she drew. She drew a heart with a sad face. And I said, does your heart feel sad? And she said, yeah. And so we sat for a few more minutes. And she was able to calm down. And I said, do you want to draw me another picture of how you feel right now? And we literally said nothing, no words. But the fact of me just being there, I think, was enough for her, just being beside her. And she drew a whole bunch of smiley faces and a heart with a smiley face. And I said, your heart's feeling happy right now? And she said, yeah. And I said, okay, great. I said, I understand that you were very sad that you missed that movie because you fell asleep. And that's what really set her off, was that she had missed the movie that she wanted to watch. I said, the movie will be there tomorrow and you can watch it tomorrow. I said, but next time let's try to use our words. And she was like, okay, mommy, right? Like, so it ended off really nicely. And in the past, it would have been just like me screaming at her, screaming at me, right? Just battle, and ending up in like tears and frustration and getting nowhere with it, with everybody's feelings hurt. And last night we ended off really, really nicely. And I honestly am so thankful for these tools, reading these books and opening my mind and exploring these options to really help me and guide me on this. So anyways, let's get into it. Like I always say, I try to honor your guys' time and stick to about 30 minutes with this. So let's get into it. So encouraging autonomy. Get my notes here. Most of the books on children rearing tell us that one of our most important goals as parents is to help our children separate from us, to help them become independent individuals who will one day be able to function on their own without us. We're urged not to think of our children as little carbon copies of us or as extensions of ourselves, but as unique human beings with different temperaments, different tastes, different feelings, different desires, different dreams. Yet, how are we to help them become separate, independent persons? By allowing them to do things for themselves, by permitting them to wrestle with their own problems, by letting them learn from their own mistakes. Easier said than done. I can still remember my first child struggling to tie his shoelaces and me watching patiently for about 10 seconds and then bending down to do it for him. And all my daughter had to do was just mention that she was having a quarrel with a friend, and I'd jump in with instant advice for her. And how could I let my children make mistakes and suffer failure when all they had to do was listen to me in the first place? You may be thinking, what's so terrible about helping children tie their shoelaces or telling them how to resolve an argument with a friend, or seeing to it that they don't make mistakes? After all, children are younger and less experienced. They really are dependent on adults around them. Here's the problem. When one person is continually dependent on another, certain feelings arise. In order to get clear on what those feelings might be, read the following statements and write down your reactions. So then there is an exercise here, and I'm not going to read all of the statements. There's different age group statements here. So there's like the 4-year-old, the 9-year-old, the 17-year-old, the adult, with the employer, and a citizen to a new nation. So I'm just going to read over like the first two. And I would love for you guys to write below what your reaction would be. That would be super helpful. Because everybody's reaction may be different, so it's cool to see what different people's reactions are going to be. And so throughout this session today, I would love for you guys to definitely interact with it and write down what your reaction might be. So you are 4 years old. In the course of the day, you hear your parents tell you, eat your string beans. Vegetables are good for you. So what's your reaction to that? Here, let me zip that zipper for you. What could be your reaction there? You're tired. Lie down and rest. I don't want to play with that boy. I don't want you playing with that boy. He uses bad language. Are you sure you don't have to go to the bathroom? So what are some of your reactions to those statements if you were a 4-year-old, right? And I'd love for you guys to put them in the comments. That would be lovely. And then for a 9-year-old self, so I'm just going to go over 2 of these. You're 9 years old. In the course of the day, your parents tell you, and I want your reaction, you guys. Don't bother to try that jacket on. Green isn't your color. Give that jar to me. I'll unscrew the cap for you. I've laid your clothes out for you. Do you need help with your homework? So maybe definitely write down the reactions you may feel to some of those statements. It's probably safe to say that you wouldn't want your children feeling toward you most of the feelings you've just written down. So once we have some people on here doing this with us, we'll be able to see some different reactions there, right? But yet, when people are placed in dependent positions, along with a small amount of gratitude, they usually do experience massive feelings of helplessness, worthlessness, resentment, frustration, and anger. This unhappy truth can present a dilemma for us parents. On one hand, our children are clearly dependent on us because of their youth and inexperience. There's so much we have to do for them, tell them, show them. On the other hand, the very fact of their dependency can lead to hostility. Are there ways to minimize our children's feelings of dependency? Are there ways to help them become responsible human beings who can function on their own? Fortunately, the opportunities to encourage our children's autonomy presented themselves every day. Here are some specific skills that can help children to rely on themselves rather than on us. So there's 6 different skills here that we're going to explore together. So, number 1, let children make choices. Number 2, show respect for a child's struggle. Number 3, don't ask too many questions. Number 4, don't rush to answer questions. Number 5, encourage children to use sources outside the home. Number 6, don't take away hope. So then, like in every single chapter, there's some really great picture examples, which I love. And so I'm going to read these to you. So the first one was let children make choices. Here's the mom. Are you in the mood for the gray pants or your red pants? So when it comes to clothing, you can definitely allow them to make choices for that. And that's going to encourage the autonomy in that situation. Would you like half a glass of juice or a whole glass of juice? We're leaving in 5 minutes. Do you want to go on the slide one more time or on the swing? What would work best for you? Doing the practice before dinner or after? So these are all choices that give a child valuable practice in making decisions. It must be very hard to be an adult who is forced to make decisions about career, lifestyle, partner without having had a good deal of experience in exercising your own judgment. The next one is show respect for a child's struggle. So instead of, here, give the jar to me, sweetheart, you can say, a jar can be hard to open. Sometimes it helps if you tap the lid with a spoon, and then allow them to actually tap the lid with a spoon and give it a try. Instead of, what's taking you so long? You can show respect. Tying shoelaces takes a lot of fancy finger work. And instead of, adding fractions is a snap, I'll help you. You can show respect. Adding fractions can be hard. It's not easy to find the common denominator. When a child's struggle is respected, he gathers courage to see a job through by himself. The next one is don't ask too many questions. So instead of, how did your teacher like your composition? Did you pass the math test? Is anyone coming over after school to play today? No? Why not? You can just simply say, hi, I'm glad to see you. Instead of, did you have a good time at the party? Who was there all? Were people dressed up? What did you eat? Was there dancing? Did you dance with whom? Who did you dance with? You can simply say, welcome home. Too many questions can be experienced as an invasion of one's private life. Children will talk about what they want to talk about when they want to talk about it. And this is so true, you guys. Keeping it short and simple. And if you can think back to your, when you were a preteen or teenager or even just a kid and you came home from school and your parent was just like, oh, like blah, 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 like going on and on and on about how was your day and all these kind of things. It's just kind of like, good, right? Very, very one-worded answer, and you just didn't want to really speak to them. But just welcoming them home, and when they're ready to tell you about their day, they're going to tell you. Don't rush to answer questions. So instead of, Daddy, where does rain come from? And saying, Rain is caused by evaporation and condensation of moisture. You see what actually happens is ... You could say, so Daddy, where does rain come from? Oh, that's an interesting question. What do you think? And it allows them to explore, the answer and think about the different things. So when children ask questions, they deserve the chance to explore the answer for themselves first. Then you have encouraged children to use sources outside the home. Dad, my angelfish looks sick. What should I do? I wonder if the pet shop owner has any suggestions. So that's one way of exploring. And I'm going to use actually a personal example for this. So we have chickens. And my daughter came in with one of the eggs the other day, and she had put it in a basket and was like, with a bunch of sawdust and stuff anyways. And she was like, look, Mom, I'm going to hatch a baby chick out of it. And I looked at her and said, do you think that's how it works? And she was just like, well, I don't know. How does it work? And I was like, well, I'm really not sure how it works exactly, but I have a friend who actually hatches chickens. Maybe we can check in with her to see if she'd like to teach us a little bit about it. And I messaged her and we went over, and Layla got to learn a little bit about how that works. So we want our children to know that they're not completely dependent on us. The world outside the home, the pet shop, the dentist, the school, an older child can all be called upon to help them with their problems. So remember, they don't have to depend strictly on you guys. And then don't take away hope. Instead of preparing a child for disappointment, like, Mom, I'm trying out for the lead in the school play. Do you think I'll get the part? And the parent says, look, I don't want you to be disappointed. Why try for the lead when you haven't had any acting experience? Maybe there's a smaller part. You could let them explore and experience and say something like, instead, so you're going to try out for the lead. That should be an experience, right? Another one was, I want to get a babysitting job. And the mom says, you're much too young, dear. No one will hire you. But you can let them explore and experience it. You think you might like to work as a sitter? Tell me about it, right? By trying to protect children for disappointment, we protect them from hoping, striving, dreaming, and sometimes from achieving their dreams. And this is a big one, you guys, because as children dream big, right? Children are such big dreamers and have the ability to dream up the most amazing things and aspire to be the most amazing things and do the most amazing things. And as adults, just that simple discouragement can shut it down for literally the rest of their life. It can be a profound impact on that. So allowing them to explore and experience that can be huge. Even though many of these skills you just looked at may seem like common sense at first, there's nothing common about them. It takes some determination and practice to talk to children in ways that foster their independence. So in the following exercise, you'll see 6 typical statements by parents. Please change each statement to one that will encourage a child's autonomy. So I'm going to say the statements for you guys, and I would love for you guys to write below what you think or what you would offer or change that statement to. So when the parent originally says, take your bath now, let's revise that statement and offer a choice. What would you do or what would you say in that scenario to offer a choice? For me in the past, it's been, you can watch your movie before your bath or after your bath, or you can take your bath before the movie or after the movie. That's been one that's worked well with us. And yeah, so I would love for you guys to write below what kind of choice you would offer. Because again, it's really fun to see what other parents would say. So the next one, we're going to show respect for the child's struggle. So what would you say? What would be a revised statement that you would use here? Why are you having such a hard time putting your boots on? Here, put your foot up. I'll do it for you. So what would you say to show respect for the child's struggle in that one? The next one is, did you have fun at camp today? Did you swim? Did you like the other children? What's your counselor like? So this is the don't ask too many questions. What would be your revised statement for that? The next one is the don't rush to answer questions. So, child, why does daddy have to work every day? Parent, daddy has to go to work every day so that we can have this nice house, good food, pretty clothing, and ... So what would be your revised statement for that one? Number 5, encourage children to use sources outside the home. So, teenager, I'm getting too fat. I want you to put me on a diet. What should I be eating? Parent, I've been telling you for years now to stop eating all that cake and candy and start eating fruit and vegetables. So what would be your revised statement to encourage children to use sources outside the home? And number 6 is don't take away hope. Child, Dad, I'm going to be a teacher when I grow up. Dad, don't count on it. Graduate schools are filled with teachers who can't get jobs when they get out of school. So what would be your revised statement for that one, for don't take away hope? Now, if you're thinking that the 6 skills you've just practiced aren't the only ones that encourage a child's autonomy, you'd be right. Actually, all the skills you've studied so far in this book help children see themselves as separate, responsible, competent people. Whenever we listen to children's feelings or share our own feelings with them or invite them to problem solve with us, we encourage their self-reliance. Whenever I'd feel myself starting to get agitated or involved, I'd ask myself, do I have any choice here? Must I take over, or can I put the children in charge instead? And then there's another exercise here that I'll get you guys just to fill out. I'm only going to do one because this next one, in this next exercise, you'll see a series of situations that often get parents agitated, involved, or both. As you read each situation, ask yourself, what can I say or do to keep my child dependent on me? And then what can I say or do to encourage my child's autonomy? So some of the skills that might be helpful are offering a choice, show respect for a child's struggle, don't ask too many questions, don't rush to answer questions, encourage outside sources, and don't take away hope. And then the old skills, you might accept your child's feelings, describe what you feel, give information, problem solve. So those are like other skills that we used before. So I'm just going to read over one or two of these for you guys to maybe fill in below. And yeah, we'll go from there. So child, I was late for school today. You have to wake me up earlier tomorrow. So if you're keeping the child dependent on you, what would you say? And then if you're encouraging autonomy, what would you say? I would love for you guys to share below in the comments some of the things that you would say for either of those. Another one would be, is it cold out? Do I need a sweater? So keeping the child dependent on you, what would be your answer to that? Or encouraging autonomy, what would be your answer there? And if you guys need to pause the video at all to kind of like fill in the answers or think about it, you can definitely do so. So just a quick reminder, let children make choices. Are you in the mood for your gray pants or your red pants? Show respect for a child's struggle. A jar can be hard to open. Sometimes it helps if you tap the lid with a spoon. Don't ask too many questions. Glad to see you. Welcome home. Don't rush to answer questions. That's an interesting question. What do you think? Encourage children to use sources outside the home. Maybe the pet shop owner would have a suggestion. And don't take away hope. So you're thinking of trying out for the play. That should be an experience. So I'm just going to read a couple of these, and then we'll close with that. And this is like the comments, questions, and parents' stories, and comments about each skill. So I really liked this section of the book, and it's really nice to see the real life stories as well. So I'm just going to read over a couple things that I have noted here, and then we will end with that. So let children make choices. It might seem inconsequential to ask a child whether he wants a half glass of milk or a whole, his toast light or dark, but to the child, each small choice represents one more opportunity to exert some control over his own life. There's so much a child must do that is not hard to understand why he becomes resentful and balky. You must take your medicine. Stop drumming on the table. Go to bed now. If we can offer him a choice about how something is to be done, very often that choice is enough to reduce his resentment. I can see how much, excuse me. Real life here. I can see how much you dislike this medicine. Would it be easier for you to take it with an apple juice or ginger ale? The drumming really bothers me. You can stop drumming and stay, or you can go in your room. You decide. It's Mommy and Daddy's time to talk and your time to be in bed. Do you want to go to sleep now, or do you want to play a while in bed and call us when you're ready to be tucked in? Some parents feel uncomfortable about using this skill. They claim that a forced choice isn't much of a choice at all and becomes just another way to box a child in. An understandable objection. One alternative is to invite the child to come up with his own choice that would be acceptable to all parties. Here's what a father told us he did. My wife and I were about to cross the street with Tony. He's 3, and the baby. Tony hates it when we hold his hand and struggle to get loose, sometimes in the middle of the street. Before we crossed, I said, Tony, as I see it, you have 2 choices. You can take hold of Mommy's hand, or you can take hold of my hand. Or maybe you have another idea that's safe. Tony thought for a second and said, I'll hold the carriage. His choice was fine with us. So if you give 2 choices, and there's also that option of offering them to create a choice as well. And if the choice is fine with you, that's great, right? We do that a lot with Layla because that works for her. Show respect for a child's struggle. We used to think that when we told a child something was easy, we were encouraging them. We realize now that by saying, try it, it's easy, we do them no favor. If they succeed in doing something easy, they feel they have that they haven't accomplished much. If they fail, then they fail to do something simple. If, on the other hand, we say, it's not easy, or that can be hard, it gives themselves another set of messages. If they succeed, they have experienced the pride of having done something difficult. If they fail, they can have at least the satisfaction of knowing that the task was a tough one. Some parents feel they're being phony when they say, that can be hard. But if we really look at it from the task and the point of view of the inexperienced child, they would realize that the first few times you do anything new, it really is hard. Avoid saying, that must be hard for you. A child might think, well, why me? Why not for anyone else? Other parents complained that it was almost unbearable to stand there and watch a child struggle without offering more than just empathy. But rather than taking over and doing the job for the child, we suggest you give some useful information instead. Sometimes it helps if you push the end of the zipper all the way down into the little case before you pull it up. Sometimes it helps if you roll the clay into a soft ball before you try to make something. Sometimes it helps if you turn the knob of a lock a few times before you try the combination again. We like the words, sometimes it helps, because if it doesn't help the child, is spared feelings of inadequacy. Does this mean that we must never do for our children what they can do for themselves? We trust that each parent to sense when a child is tired or in need of extra attention or even a little babying. At certain times, there's a great comfort that comes from having your hair brushed or your socks pulled on for you, even though you're perfectly capable of doing it yourself. As long as we as parents are aware that our basic directions to help our children be in charge of themselves, we can comfort and enjoy doing for them occasionally. Don't ask too many questions. The classic, where did you go? Out. What did you do? Nothing. Didn't come from nowhere. Other defense tactics children use to fend off questions they aren't ready to or willing to answer, or I don't know, or leave me alone. One mother told us she felt she wasn't being a good parent if she didn't ask her son questions. She was amazed to discover that when she stopped bombarding him with questions and listened with interest when he did talk, he began to open up. Does this mean you may never ask your children questions? Not at all. The important thing is to be sensitive to the possible effect of your questions. Don't rush to answer questions. In the course of growing up, children ask a bewildering variety of questions. What is a rainbow? Why can't the baby go back to where she came from? Why can't people just do whatever they want? Do you have to go to college? Parents often feel put on the spot by these questions and search their minds for immediate, appropriate answers. The pressure they impose on themselves is unnecessary. And usually when a child asks a question, she's already done something thinking about the answer. What she can use is an adult who will act as a sounding board to help her explore her thoughts further. I don't know why I put that. That must have been an accident mark. There's always time for the adult to supply the correct answer later if it still seems important. By giving our children immediate answers, we do them no favor. It's as if we're doing their mental exercise for them. It's much more helpful to children to have their questions turned back to them for further examination. You wonder about that. What do you think? We might even repeat the question. Why can't people just do whatever they want? Why can't people just do whatever they want? You're asking an important question, one that philosophers have asked for centuries. There needn't be a hurry. The process of securing the answer is as valuable as the answer itself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, hold on. We're going to get ready to go, you guys. Can you go brush your teeth, please? Okay, we got to go get you, Benmala. Okay?
And Arya?
Arya's going to get dropped off.
Dropped? Yeah, because she's a big slug.
A slug.
No, she's a big cube.
So, more ways you can encourage autonomy, you guys, is let them own their own body. Refrain from constantly brushing their hair out of their eyes. Please don't. I don't like that. Straightening their shoulders, dusting off lint, tucking their blouse into their skirt, rearranging their collar. When children experience this kind of fuss over them, it's an invasion to their physical privacy.
Bye.
So that's what we're going to do today with you guys. Layla, I don't like when you do that. Please don't. And if you guys have any questions, I'd love for you guys to comment below with... we're not going to touch the screen, okay? With any questions that you might have or participation in the exercise. And this one is encouraging autonomy. So you guys have... You guys have a great day. See you.